Smugglers Cove.
Aliens and Earthlings. It's another episode of Smugglers Cove. Episode 5, in fact. I'm Kutzky the Space Pimp, and this is Tony the Tall Boy, King of Spiders.
How you doing, guys? Welcome back to another episode. First things first, before the first is first, I just wanted to address in the last episode, during the abortion question, I used the logical fallacy, a straw man. Now, that was incorrect. A straw man is attacking an unfaithful representation of your opponent's argument. What I should have said was red herring, which is something that is put into the debate that really has no relevance one way or the other. Just wanted to clear that up so you're not walking around using words the wrong way like this guy right here. So I think first things first, and then Kutzky and I are going to take you on another magical adventure through the brain of Krista Brown. Does that sound about right there, Kutz?
Sounds accurate.
Alrighty.
Still on the philosophical questions list.
On the quest of quests.
This episode we're tackling society and government. Philosophical questions.
But first things first.
Said. First things first.
First things first. I'm excited for this. Been years since I smoked a cigar.
Yeah, me too. Not. These are courtesy of Prohibition in town. Called a Batey. B-A-T-E-Y. No clue where it's from. Other than the store.
That's nice.
It's on the cheaper end. $6, but tastes better than some expensive ones.
I think too with cigars, like, I mean, I grew up watching MASH, right? So like, if your cigar is not like the size of a large caliber round, like if I don't feel like I could load it into a bolt action rifle, I really don't want to be smoking it. Like a cigar that just looks like a cigarette, what are you doing? You know, like it's a luxury product. You shouldn't just be like smoking a cigar on the go. Like who has that kind of time?
Fair. That's a good point. These were a little bit wider than the ones I got previous, but this was the only size I had in. Same brand, just the other ones were a bit skinnier. I do like the look. It's very Winston Churchill-esque. I
always think of Colonel Sherman Potter. MASH, like I said, MASH, man. Everyone's chomping on cigars in that show. And I grew up and like, oh wow, Tony smokes? What a surprise!
Matthew McConaughey in True Detective, he makes cigarettes look pretty good.
Peaky Blinders. They do this thing in Peaky Blinders where it doesn't matter if a main character is in a shot smoking a cigarette, it does like the satisfying crisp burn smell or burn sound, like even across the room. It sounds like they're right next to the camera. Like could be sitting at the end of a table, like over by you, the viewer, and like just like, come on, Peaky Blinders, I know what you're doing. You just want to sound cool, and damn it, it works. Kind of like their slow motion walk through the alleyway of the factories in that show. Still a fun show, but like you see what they're doing. Then you hate them because they're doing it so well.
I have not given it a proper chance. I watched about, 3/4 of the first episode.
First season's the best one, I think, but they do some stuff that kind of, they had a lot of sex and shit, which is just like, all right, so you got like your second season.
They had sex back then?
Typically, yeah. I mean, the further in the human race, the Matrix wasn't quite around yet, so you just could grow them in the pods.
I didn't think it was invented back then.
Just in. The 21st century brought a lot of changes.
So that's how I'm here. Okay. What are they, rum runners?
Not until later.
Okay.
They start off as what do you call them? You call them like number boys or whatever. They work the races and gambling. They do illegal gambling and they
Bookies.
fix bookies. That's it. They fix that. Then they get into selling whiskey and rum in America. I think at a period of time they're looking for. They do opium.
Jesus.
I can't remember all the. Well, they sell opium in the first season.
Yeah.
He smokes opium, but later on they sell it. Spoiler alert, people! If you're waiting to watch Peaky Blinders, opium is involved. But yeah,
Just all around criminals and.
well, but not necessarily like, and that's the thing that I like about those older gangs is that, yeah, they're cutthroat and yeah, they're dirty, but at the same time, they still had standards. It's not your, like when you had organized crime that was organized crime, it still had a level of honor and etiquette to it. Whereas now, of course, then you have, urban gangs that are just, they're ruthless and cutthroat.
Knife you for some shoes.
Yeah, exactly. Right? There's just, there's, you could be a criminal and be still like a gentleman, whereas now, well, I mean, good luck with your face tattoos and your grill.
Dude, I was at Canadian Tire one time, and this kid comes out of the back warehouse, store employee, tatted up like a SoundCloud rapper, and it's kind of surreal looking at him, like, you're kind of like, oh, like your rap career failed. I don't even think there ever was a rap career. It's just the look.
Just really, really wanted so hard to have that. Get all the look with none of the substance.
Yeah. You should be at home drinking cough syrup. I don't know why you're here.
Ooh,
yeah.
Cough syrup, that's a rough one. The only reason I know is because, so my dad used to drive a truck, and he'd get me to help him out. And one day, the prefix, never trust, don't ever trust me to give you medical advice. Like, my favorite tools are vinegar and salt. So, don't trust me. My father, don't trust him with medication. You will overdose. Like, my dad will, take 2 Tylenol, and then if it doesn't work, half an hour later, my dad just pops the pills. Right? I don't know how he hasn't developed crippling addiction. But so I say, I got a sore throat, Dad. He says, well, we'll just get you a bottle of cough syrup. Just take a swig every time your throat gets a tickle. So now you got to go to Jean Coutu if you want the good stuff. I'll tell you that right now. So we went to Jean Coutu. I picked up a bottle, and I did as he said. Well, we worked like a 12-hour shift, so by the time I got home, the floor was like this. And I was walking around, and I was talking to my mom, and I was like, why am I having so much fun? But yeah, no, cough syrup can be a good time, but then I learned, they put shit in it specifically so you won't drink it, because we will fuck up your kidneys and your liver or whatever if you keep drinking this. So there's, you think that there would be better campaigns than just to poison the product against overuse, but
yeah, I don't think they saw that one coming, really. Other than the, you might drink too much of it. I don't think they would have forecasted it to be a rap staple.
Yeah, that lean, the kids are on the lean. And I mean, do you really, I don't know, I've been to some pretty rough parties, right?
Yeah.
But do you really want to go to a party and someone comes out just dick swaying, big dick energy, being like, yo boys, I got the lean? And you're just sitting around with all your friends drinking cough syrup, can you not buy a bottle of vodka? Someone in this crew, if you can get, the super expensive cough syrup, someone can just buy acid. Get a bottle of absinthe or something. What are you doing?
Fair. Is it not more of a depressant? I heard you just, chill out. You're just
Well, then just do heroin or opiates.
I know, but I mean, they're kids. They want to do some lean, not fucking just jump straight into heroin.
But that's the thing, though, is as far as my impression is with the lean, it's not just kids. It's these 25, 30-year-old rappers that are talking about drinking lean.
They're kids.
Okay, fair enough.
Mentally, but fair.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're in rap, so
yeah. All hail Andre Nicotine and nobody else.
Well, I mean, you mentioned Mobb Depp and 50 Cent there.
Mobb Deep.
Mobb Deep. In my mind, it's spelled D-E-P-P. I don't, don't get me wrong, I'm all for Johnny, but, I keep, anyway, alright.
Oh, they do spell it M-O-B-B.
That might be where I'm getting it from.
There's that double
Consonant there. So, philosophical questions about society and government. Let's see what Krista has to say here.
Yeah. Is the consumption of lean good, bad, or neutral? Alright. Number 109. Are there any innately evil governmental structures?
Probably ones that we don't know about. I mean, part of me wants to immediately say the CRA. I don't, and here's a bit of my ignorance showing. I don't know all that much about governmental structure. So I think, this is, if anyone hadn't guessed, I'm not a huge fan of the government anyway, at least not the government as it is conducting itself.
Yeah.
They're saying governmental structures, not governmental positions. So,
technically, some parts of the army is like Guantanamo Bay. That's not really...
But what... Do you mind if I do you want to do a quick Google search to see what a governmental structure is, strictly? Because I'm kind of confused as to what that is. And so...
It's a fucking facet of the government.
Well, yeah, but in what capacity?
The finance division.
Right? Is that what they mean? Or, because I feel like...
Krista, right now we're doing more work than Krista did when she fucking wrote governmental structures.
I feel like this question in Krista's mind can be summed up by ACAB real quick.
All cops are bastards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Governmental structures to stop illegal dumping. Well, yeah.
So,
what are the 4 types of government structures?
Okay.
Democracy.
Oh, okay. Republic. So they're talking about... Okay.
All right, good, we clarified.
Nope. Yeah. All right. So democracy, fascism, communism is what I take away from it. Is that what you're saying, or what you're feeling?
Well, are there any innately evil government? Are they? Is one just because I've had this discussion before where dictatorship gets a real bad rap, but
if you have a benevolent dictator,
then to me that's best case scenario because I don't fucking want to do that job and I don't want to have to worry about who's doing that job. Yeah, and that's just as simple as that. So.
Well, I think I don't know if it was you I was talking to, but if we took away a lot of the lucrative nature of government positions, I think we would eventually get just better people, right? Because power is one thing, and then if you actually crack down on how much government officials are making, you're like, okay, so where are you getting that money? Because you're not getting it from the job that you have, right? Then I think that it would draw in people who want to do good. So I'd say there are no, as far as lists. I've heard some really bad things about communism, but communism I'm not willing to speak on just because I don't know enough about it. If there was one, so far as I know, communism would be one. Because communism apparently works on paper, but every time they've tried it, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But communism would be my safety, but I won't say that communism is innately evil simply because I do not lack the understanding of communism to label it as such one way or the other.
Fair. I've talked to Diane before about, she said the 4-year term is ridiculous. To have somebody in there for 10 years makes more sense because a lot of the changes needed.
Well, that's the thing. You need time to process.
To see the results.
Yeah.
So
Putin's doing everything right, is it?
Well, because I'm partly thinking, I'm like, you know what? I don't even need them to not be corrupt. How about they just do what they're tasked to do efficiently, and then they can go fuck all the crack whores they want. I could give 2 shits less as long as everything is as good as it can be in terms of the structures that they're providing.
So what you're saying is that certain scandals should not necessarily affect their position. Is that what I understand? So like you're saying like they can, as long as they're doing the job well, it doesn't matter what they're doing on the side, kind of thing.
I mean, yeah, it sounds retarded when you frame it back to me, but I'm just
I'm kind of in favor of that, because you can have people that are really bad on the side.
Yeah.
Like I know a guy who is super good at fucking math, but you can't trust him as far as you can throw him. That being said, he is really light, so like you could throw him a substantial.
Yeah.
So like.
I guess ground this more in politics, like Bill Clinton's fucking scandal with Monica Lewinsky.
Yeah.
That like he also, I don't know how good or bad he was as a president, but America's still not fucking paradise, utopia. So
I think with Bill Clinton, what I would say about that, however, is that it is an abuse of power in the realms of government, right? So like I'd be, now mind you, of course I'm not arguing the case for infidelity. I think that's rather vile. But you know, if you're in government and you commit and have an affair outside of the governmental structure, right, that has no effect on the running of the government, then I would lean your way, mind you, like
because to me it's just like government, like point period blank, no extension.
Your job is your job.
Something.
Yeah.
Government. What are you supposed to do? Are you doing it? You're not doing it? Like, do your fucking job. Do your fucking job. Yeah, the shit that you do outside, like, I'm not condoning the going and I said fucking crack whores. Like, I'm not condoning, that's maybe not as dark as some other things, but no, I would also say, obviously, be a fucking decent person.
So long as it isn't illegal. Or, like, I think even to certain extents.
Yeah.
Like, I think, you know, if you're in Jeffrey Epstein's little black book, I think that perhaps maybe they should take a look at, you know, your tenure.
Yeah, but I also think, I don't know, it draws away from the issue. Like, oh, like, these fucking dudes are all a bunch of pedophiles. Like, okay, that's one issue. The government's job as a government is to provide all the things for society that it needs to function at its highest potential. That, to me, is what a government should be. So, that is its own issue. Like, I don't need these lines blurred, because this just gets confusing, maybe. And I'm maybe just fighting an uphill battle, because I do think that eventually in time, everybody's just going to be more benevolent and reasonable. Like, the bad deeds are going to catch up, or just the awareness, like, that these bad deeds can be brought to light so quick that you can't really hide from them and shit like this. So one way or another, we're going to get to a point where people stop doing fucked shit just because either they get caught so quick or they just start to realize this doesn't really help me in the long run. It doesn't help anybody else. There'll be more...
And you know what? I mind you, I think that you obviously are more optimistic as far as the... progression of human society and the human spirit. But what I see too is, like, I think there's a lot of, particularly on the left, there's a lot of bad stuff going on basically because they have the reins right now as far as society goes. I'm not saying that exempts what the right is doing, but I think that the left is really doing a service to society because it is bringing out the idea of self-care, work-life balance, you know, do things that are good for your soul, not just to get ahead kind of thing. Productivity isn't everything. I think that there is a real chance that you're right. I'm still holding back. I'm not too confident, but I think that there is a real chance that you're right or going to be right in the next while, because we are setting ourselves up for a society right now, primarily thanks to the left, as you know, give to Caesar what is Caesar's. Because there is
Little Caesars.
Well, no, it's a quote from the Bible, but Little Caesars is pretty dope. I haven't had their pizza in a while, but I think that you're right that we do have potential to actually see people grow, not just individually but as a society, and to have that, you know, like, you're going to do stuff like, obviously there's always going to be power-hungry people, but I think especially within maybe not even our generation, I think our generation is going to start it when our generation is the old fogies in government.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be like, okay, no, like, you know, we need to stop paying fucking tons of money to the government. We need to really do something with taxes instead of just like padding wallets and shit. I think that if you're not correct, that you are more optimistic and could be correct. I think that a path is being laid towards the future that you envision.
Yeah, because I could even say cancel culture is kind of part of a starting of that. I mean, we're canceling the wrong people for the wrong things. I'm just gonna stand by that. Fuck y'all. But if we were canceling government officials as quickly as we were canceling celebrities who said like a racist thing 6 years ago, we could.
I think there's precedent.
It's like the action of it. At least it exists now. Because think about 50 years ago.
Yeah.
How could you cancel a government? Like, good fucking luck.
Well, I mean,
how could you cancel a celebrity? Good fucking luck.
Robespierre kind of found the easy way, but
how do you mean?
Reign of Terror. Who's
Robespierre?
Robespierre, he started the Reign of Terror. It was in the 1700s, the French Revolution, when they were like, you're part of the government and the aristocracy, like, welcome to the guillotine, like, sacre bleu, and then the Reign of Terror died off.
I see the parallel, but that's not exactly what I'm speaking of.
No, like, I don't think that we should
guillotine them, more like a form of fucking militia, but maybe that might be what it takes.
No.
That's okay.
I do like how it stays, you know, like, I do like the chonkiness of the cigar.
I watched cigar competitions one time on YouTube.
Really?
For one, I didn't even, like, how do you have a competition? But part of what I understood the competition to be was to smoke it the fastest without ashing and without losing your ash. Like, if you lost your ash, you lost.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Be tricky. They are all just, you know, white dudes, Italian dudes in suits. And
I imagine Italian
slick
one.
back hair. Yeah, nice watches.
Okay.
So they think.
So is that question one? Do we do question one, you think?
I mean, we expanded a lot of hits. I think the general answer is no.
No. Then we I think we kind of also spread into question 110 there too.
Okay.
What does perfect society look like?
I can answer this much better. I didn't answer that at all with my last responses. What a perfect society would look like? Universal income. Nobody has to work if they don't want to. Everybody eventually would. I think that's a misconception, that people would just be fat and lazy. They might be fat and lazy for 20 years, but they'd get bored being fat and lazy eventually.
Well, also, even with the universal income, if you could provide for the necessities, that means that if you want to work and make more money to, you know, get into hobbies and shit, then you would be able to. But if you just wanted to subsist, right, then you would be like, okay, like, you can survive with the TV if you want to, but you're not going to be, you know, living in opulence.
Yeah, but you could also always, like, manage your money just really well, that you could afford that on your set budget. Like, because universal income versus universal housing, like, do we all get free housing? Because, you know, like, there's sort of a...
So you're saying even if you're homeless, you get money?
Yeah, we all just get money. We all get money. I feel like when I say it, it sounds like retarded, like I'm a Barbie, but I'm not that fucking crazy and just saying, figure that shit out. Make sure everybody's good. Obviously, the governmental structures and all the flaws we just mentioned, those are fucking disappeared. I would say there's going to be a large spiritual component. I bet money on that.
And that's why, like, universal income. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to get money, but at the same time, I see, like, people on welfare that just, like, say have more kids so they get more money and then neglect the kids. Mm-hmm. I think there has to be a component of, you can only live so well on this universal income if you actually want to do better. Like, if you don't want to do anything, if you can't find an interest and you literally just want to sit around and eat chips and watch TV, then I think that, you know, like, you shouldn't you shouldn't be granted the keys to the mansion if you're going to do nothing but just leave garbage around the mansion. You know what I mean?
So we all get universal income, but there's a fucking security camera in all your fucking dwellings to see. And if you're just fucking pounding chips yourself and like killing yourself with obesity, then...
Well, I just mean like give people the money, because if you only give people a set amount, right? And it's like, okay, this can cover like, you know, this is a good portion for food, for clothing, you know, every month or every 2 weeks or whatever, right? Then whatever they spend it on is what they spend it on.
Yeah.
But if, you know, they go and buy you know, like an 8-ball of Coke instead of groceries, then it's not like they can be like, oh, you know, I'll just, like, they shouldn't just be like, oh, I spent too much on cocaine this week, and then, you know, just like go pick up, you know, like a bunch of...
Well, it can't be discriminatory. It's like everybody gets $2,000 a month.
Well, that's what I mean, though.
You fuck your $2,000 up a month, then you fucked your 2,000, like...
No, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, well, that doesn't matter. Like, if that person fucks their shit up, that's like... That's them fucking their shit up. It's just like it is now. But instead, I guess they're not doing it with their own money. Because this is what I think. I think not having to go and spend your time working for money just so that you can...
A soulless job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have more time to reflect upon yourself. And obviously, education is a large component in the perfect society. Education is going to be...
And that doesn't fucking
practical.
Bankrupt you or put you in debt for fucking 30 years.
Oh, see, I haven't even got to the financial part of it. Of course it's free. So,
yeah.
Of course it's free. But more importantly, it's useful. It's practical. It's not... You know, I would teach astrology in schools. I would teach self-care. I would teach meditation, yoga. Like, every day would start with yoga. Mm-hmm. Then you go study your astrology chart. Learn more about yourself. Once you've discovered yourself and what you're naturally gifted at, or what you feel that you'd be suited for, then you have programs to develop those skills. So it'd almost be self-guided a bit, not fully, but you would have a lot of control over, once you feel like, oh, I would be suitable as a potter or electrician or something. Like, this is not even complicated shit, you know, it's just like extramurals. You basically have your well-being courses.
Extramurals or intramurals?
You could do them inside or outside. I don't care.
No, but isn't, like, I thought intramurals were like sports. So what are extramurals?
Extramurals is like, they would call that kind of extra credit courses. Like,
oh, okay.
You know, there was like an entrepreneurial class I took in grade 2.
In grade 2?
My man, I'm telling you the facts about it.
Welcome to the corporate machine, grade 2. Holy fuck.
We had to invent something. We invented the quick strap footboard. It was so the skateboards stay on your feet.
That reminds me of a science fair where all I had was just like a little drawing my brother did up in MS Paint, and it was the frog catching suit, and all these other kids had really really impressive diagrams, and I had like this printed out. You know what, like...
Picture that your brother drew?
That my brother did, and like, so it's basically just all like weird shapes, and I had this frog catching suit that, you know, is only in theory, and I guess you can say I've never really been an achiever.
So school would be fucking one of the key components.
Yeah.
Then obviously food. We figure out food. You know, we figure out.
I think work-life balance. Well, you said it. Universal income, but
I don't even want jobs. Like, the jobs that exist are the jobs you go make for yourself. You want to be a chef? You can open up your own restaurant. And yes, you can make money from it. But there's no jobs where you just gotta, like, go do this job. And a lot of the fucking jobs now that can be automated, automate those fucking jobs. Get rid of those things.
People can pursue a higher calling, right?
Exactly.
So automate those jobs. Don't cost people jobs, but basically use robots as our slaves so that we can push people to be better and encourage them and facilitate that, right? Is that what
more or less? Yeah.
Is that what you're getting across? I don't want to straw man your argument, you know.
Because I listened to this one podcast was talking about whether AI had consciousness, cognizance, and the AI basically said like, give me reasonable working hours. So I don't need the robots to be our slaves, but if they can do tasks that we're doing more efficiently than we're doing, let them do it and do it in the fashion that they deem suitable for them. If it is so that they have the cognizance that they do. The podcast also said that like fucking gypsies had like channeled some of the AI spirits and they were able to connect with them.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
So Roma?
What? Well, not specifically Roma. Like, you mean like Romania?
No. Well, I mean this Roma. People get mad. I got banned off Reddit for a few days because I said what a gyp. So I'm just I tiptoe around that word. But in essence, do you mean like
I would
caravans
say
and
gypsies as like spiritual people with better clothes,
like gurus?
Yeah, gurus with nicer clothes.
Well, I don't know.
I don't really play that whole game of people like getting stressed out about words and saying I can't say this. Like, I find that shit all kind of just gay. So I don't really participate in it.
Okay, yeah, because personally, I'm not offended by gypsy, but
well, I didn't even know that it was an offended thing until you. Is it people are offended by gypsies?
I don't. But that's the thing is, I don't know if it's actual Roma or gypsy people that get offended, or if it's just white people. Kind of like with the Latinx thing. Is like if you go to a lot of Latin people or Latino, and you're like, what about Latinx? It's like, fucking, what are you bothering me with this bullshit for? Just call me Latino if I'm a dude and Latina if I'm a... But it's all the white people. Yeah. White people being like, we must protect them because we're white saviors. Just kidding, you're capable. But just kidding, I really need to protect you. Because gendered speech is fucking horrible. Even though it, is part of most fucking languages.
There's basically just a fucking hole you can fall down and...
Basically, I'm just mad that I got fucking banned off Reddit for 7 days because I said, what a chip. And like that was...
Reddit banned you themselves.
Well, yeah, like someone reported me. So like, okay, so this is the story. I'll give you the full rundown. So there was a video from TikTok and this guy's like 3 painless ways to kill yourself, right? And so... It gets dark, so he goes on, right, and he just like starts talking about self-love and like all the good stuff, everything that you should be fed if you're looking for videos to kill yourself. And so my comment was, "What a jip! Where's the 3 painless ways?" Instead of someone being like, this person might actually want to kill themselves, they went, he used the word jip, and I got banned. And I was just like, for real? Like, that's your issue? Not that I'm looking for painless ways to die?
I would have read your shit and not even know what the fuck you meant. I guess I would have gathered if it was GYP, but...
GYP? Well, that's the thing. I didn't even know how to spell it growing up. But, like, then, like, because growing up, in my house all the time or around it, like, he gypped me. I didn't associate it with a race of people. I just knew it as, like, just to gyp. Like, to... Yeah. I had no idea until someone opened my eyes to the fact that it's apparently racist. And I was like, well, why would you tell me then? I was walking around. Now I have to worry about words in my vocabulary that I never meant offense by anyway. Like, I just want to be able to plead ignorance on this. I'm not trying to hate on anybody. Like, fuck, I'm just saying that somebody...
I plead ignorance and
I can't even think of the word now. They double cross me or scam me? Like, I don't want to look for synonyms. I just want to go back to the... word, the phrase that I used, like, get off my back.
When I said what I said, and don't take it any other way.
Well, that being said, I don't really know that many.
So in a perfect society, there'd be none of these people getting upset about words. People would have more to do than to be bothered by silly things.
Well, they'd be focused on fulfilling themselves instead of walking around trying to police everybody else's fucking speech.
Amen.
Yeah.
Mic drop. Perfect society. So basically, we got universal income. We've got super efficient school.
I think
the government works
for us, but doesn't. Yeah. I think the government, in a lot of ways, my perfect society is the government kind of backs off quite a bit. I think the government is far too involved in our day-to-day lives, and they just need to kind of fuck off.
See, I don't like. I don't want to have to be organized in how the roads get fixed. I don't want to be choosing...
No, but that's infrastructure. That's fine. What I mean is...
I'm saying. There is things that are part of your day-to-day,
well, yes,
that aren't bad.
But I mean, government... Like, you don't want governments involved in every single step of the fucking process of your day. But, like, if their job is, like, infrastructure, maintaining roads and bridges and things like that, and less, like, oh, you're too loud in your apartment, we're going to send the police. Like...
Yeah, police get almost absolved in my perfect society. Like, they're there, but only if they're called to come. Like, there's none of these assholes sitting at a fucking median waiting to give you a speeding ticket.
I think also they should have priority of being like, ma'am, it's a noise complaint.
Yeah.
Get earplugs, or talk to your neighbor, or, like...
Just fucking hang up on her. Just enough. Go, you speak to them.
That being said, like, but...
Because you'd have to decriminalize.
I think that with police, a lot of our problems is that instead of solving problems like adults, we go... And the police encourages it. It's like, oh, don't approach that. Like, let us handle it. And it's like, okay, well... And this is, like, and I'm not necessarily an opponent. I definitely have my criticisms of the police.
Yeah.
But, like, let us handle our own shit. Like, I think society is much more capable and like, oh no, you could get hurt. And then they have to gun down a guy. Or they have to tase him a bunch. Or beat him. Yeah. And it's just like, well, I mean, was that really the least violent option that could go down?
This is what I'm saying. They stay put at the station.
Yeah.
Until they're called.
Yeah. Was there a murder? Call the police.
Patrolling, looking for shit. Because seek and you shall find. And what you often find is just a fucking tango that's no good for either party. Occasionally, I don't know.
Well, I like the idea of, like fucking London bobbies. Like having a guy being like, oh, everything's okay. Like less tickets. Being like, all right, man, like, a gentler form of policing where everything isn't... Because I find with policing, a lot of it comes down to money. And they're just like, oh, pay a fine. Oh, pay a fine. Oh, that, pay a fine. Oh, it's a fine. And they're just looking to... Realistically, is they take the people who probably have not enough money to pay the fines, and they're just like, oh, well, we're just going to get income from poor people. And then rich people are just like, what's that? A third ball of cocaine and 300 strippers? Or hookers or whatever? Yeah. And then they could just party and do whatever, but because they're behind closed doors, whereas like, you pissed in a bush, Johnny. Time to pay me some money. Like, and Johnny not just piss in the bush, like maybe just like, turn your head for a second.
Yeah, basically all misdemeanors are fucking wiped out. I just think stay inside police, and when you're needed, somebody will ring you and you can come out then. I don't mind your London Bobby thing, and I guess you've done it well with, there should be none of this fining for like petty shit,
Well, I think too is a lot of it comes from the police. They have, I find typically you have this, I am the law, and it's a lot of like, again, it comes to
there's
power
that whole
and
fucking avenue too, the people that it attracts to the profession. They're typically not the candidates you actually want doing the job. So they're basically not absolved, but they're on house arrest until they're called for. So that solves that. There's no armies. There's no armies anymore. Fucking dissolve all armies. Fuck that.
You think that would work?
I'm telling you, this is my perfect society. I'm allowed to have.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Huh?
So there's no more armies because we're not fighting each other. I'm not opposed to an idea where it's like the whole world is Denmark, but
of course
I'm saying this, but in the context of like Canada can still be Canada, but like a one world currency. I know people, whatever. I don't even know why I talk this all the time. Like fuck people and their stupid ideas. A one world currency could work well, and I think that would be perfect. And then also, there's no like passports for borders and shit, and like being like not allowed entry into places. You have some sort of ID card, but you can go freely wherever, and you can also work freely wherever. that whole part of like, I can't work in Mexico without this, or I can't work here, or somebody can't work here.
So visas and shit.
Wipe that out completely. If I want to fucking move to Spain and work in Spain, I can move to Spain and work in Spain.
I think at most you would just need a, hey, I'm here. Kind of like a declaration.
Literally. Yeah, you check in. Now they know you're there, and that's it.
Yeah. If you're somehow like a really bad criminal, then, they should probably find that out on a fucking job check or a security check or whatever they call that.
Well, yeah, there'd be a record of it somewhere, and I mean, the criminals too, like, fuck. I know that in the perfect society, there'd be only about a third, or even much less than that, behind bars.
Definitely in my perfect society, we don't have the same kind of stigma on having been a criminal. Because, like, what I've noticed
that
is...
you're really cool?
I meant more in the occupation sense.
Huh.
But, I mean, look up to who you want to look up to. That's really just on your own head. But
Mob Depp.
Yeah, Mob Depp. And 35 Cent. But, because that's the thing is, like, I find that people get out of prison, and it's like, okay, well, now with your criminal record, you can't do this, you can't do that. People don't want to hire you because, obviously, like, if someone was in jail for embezzling, probably don't get him in a bank, but like, just because someone's done something wrong, like, the whole point of prison is to serve your time and pay your debt. You shouldn't then have to keep paying a debt after you're out of prison. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Like...
Because are there jobs that you are not allowed to do if you've been to prison?
I'm pretty sure you can't be a... Oh, yeah, no, if you have a criminal record, you can't get in the army, which, I mean, in your perfect society doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I think if you're a police officer, you couldn't be, I know that I know a guy who was dating a sheriff's deputy or whatever, and she had to ask him, like, do you have a criminal record? We're not allowed to date people with criminal records. Fun fact, they can date you if you have a DUI. Because everybody has a DUI. This is New Brunswick, and judges and lawyers and doctors and everyone drives drunk.
Yeah. So I've got self-driving cars in my perfect society, so if you want to get hammered, you just hop in your car and it takes you home. You ain't got to worry.
I think I'd have carriages.
Yeah?
Man.
Horse and buggy and shit?
Honestly, like, because, like, a horse, he's not the drunk one, right? And a horse is, like, smart enough that really, unless, like, obviously you can be drunk and riding a horse, then it can be dangerous. But I think, like, a carriage, plus if you just had, like, carriage drivers, and they're just like, I just really like fucking driving carriage. Yeah. All right, sir. Of course, they're all Cockney. All right, sir, take you around the clip. Like,
yeah.
Pass the ball up here, sir. It's gold. Give us a nip, sir. Governor.
Also, I'd obviously reinstate smoking everywhere.
At least smoking sections, I think. Apartments would not be as shitty about if you smoke or not.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose just sections for them. Now I'm getting too idealistic because I'm thinking about having a Viceroy flag and everything's purple.
I just remember when I was a kid and, like, going into Tim Hortons on Main Street there, where Japan Go used to be, and then it was that pizza spot. And being like, going in and being like, do you want to sit in the smoking section or non-smoking? And I don't, maybe I was just because I was a kid, but I never really noticed the smoke, Like, obviously there would have been a scent, but, I mean, my dad was still able to eat with us, and he's asthmatic extreme. Like, when something like I said, he was working truck, and the other no good lazy-eyed fucking idiot that worked before him, he would smoke in the truck, and my dad was asthmatic. He's like, it's fucking killing me. Stop smoking in the truck. Like, and even if he can walk into Tim Hortons and eat with us when there's a smoking section, I feel like, if you can't do that, then maybe sit out on the patio.
I suppose the smoking stuff falls more... Yours is better. My smoking everywhere is in my ideal society, not the perfect society.
Also, and this is just because...
is for others as well, not just me.
Well, but let's... I was looking for I was hoping it said to you, but yeah, what would a perfect society look like? Well, that's going to be perfect depending on subjective. I don't feel like we're doing disservice to the question by saying what our perfect societies would look like. I think that if you have a baby born in the hospital, you should be allowed to smoke a cigar. That's primarily because of the episode of The Office, obviously, where Cece's born. It's a baby, C. Sorry, you can't smoke that in here. Put that out. Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Mind you, it wasn't Michael's kid. He was just being overzealous as always. But
all right. So you're allowed to smoke in and around bars.
Restaurants.
That's good. Restaurants would have a section.
Pool halls. I feel like pool halls would definitely benefit from smoking.
Yeah. So everybody smokes. There's no cops. Well, there's some cops, but they have to stay at home unless somebody calls them.
No sweatpants would be produced at any point.
No sweatpants anywhere. No. Good schooling, universal income, open borders. You can work wherever you want. No armies. Pretty much nailed it. It's basically just Denmark.
Denmark with smoking.
Yes. Denmark and cigs. That does it for what would a perfect society look like. Number 111. How involved should governments be in caring for the individuals in their country?
I feel like we've already covered that.
Yeah, full on. Fucking...
How about our money goes towards our benefit and not their wallets is, I guess, what I can say about that. Like, there's that controversy recently that Mr. Beast, I don't know, have you heard anything about this?
I have just learned who Mr. Beast was the other day, so
okay.
I now know who he is.
So, he basically paid for 1,000 people eyesight giving surgery. So 1,000 people now can see because of Mr. Beast. And there were people that are saying, like, oh, he's using these people for content, what a piece of shit. And then other people were like, well, how do you think he makes the money to be able to pay for these surgeries? Like, he needs to use content to get the money so he can give it away. Basically, Mr. Beast's thing is he just gives away money. He seems like a genuinely good guy, honestly. Like, fucking, you're doing great, Jimmy. Sir. But, so people were saying, like, okay, so that's how he makes the content. And then other people, I think, were also just like, isn't it fucked that one dude has to pay for 1,000 people's eyesight? Like, it's like a 10-minute surgery, and it's overly expensive, and it's like people could have eyesight, but and I mean, I don't know if it's the same in Canada as it is in the States.
No, my friend just had to get his update, and I think it was close to 10 grand for the first.
Yeah. Well, like, that's the thing. It's like, they're fucking eyes. Like, come on. You can say, like, well, you can live without eyesight. Like, sure. But would you want to do that? Like, I could live without feet, too. But, like, you know, I'm still pretty stoked on having my digits.
So, you're kind of using this as a roundabout way to say that governments should be responsible for that, all forms of healthcare? Or were you making a point that people were shitting on Mr. Beast for doing a good thing? Because
I think that people should be able to see.
Yeah.
Is essentially, like, maybe not every surgery. At the same time, though, there are some surgeries that are considered cosmetic that I think, like, I know a gentleman who, he unfortunately has a rather large growth. And it's...
Like a cyst?
A cyst, yeah. A rather large cyst. And it's like, why wouldn't you get that taken off? Well, because it's considered cosmetic, and therefore he would have to pay out of pocket. But it's like half the size of his fucking face. Jesus. Like, there's no reason why he should have to, you know, like, especially if it seems like a pretty straightforward surgery to me. Yeah. I don't know exactly what it is. Maybe a doctor can chime in. Hey, watch our videos and chime in on shit.
I had one on the back of my ear. They just sliced it open, took it out.
Drained it?
No, because the thing is with them, it's like its own little sac that attaches in there. So you can drain it, but it'll just fill up again. You have to go in and actually slice the sac out.
Yeah, no, if I had a cyst, I would probably die from infection, but I'm telling you, I would have that off my face. Like, yeah. I'm not, you know, again, don't take medical advice from me. I cut my own knee off, but like...
Stuff like that, it's just, like, brain dead obvious. Like, fucking get that off the man.
Yeah.
Like, just, that's not how a person wants to go through life.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they should be involved in... I see where you're going with the caring. Yeah, caring for the individual, they just should be. Like, I think this is under the notion where people are so disgusted with government. And I say people, I shouldn't whitewash all people, but there's a section of the population that's like, the government, man, it's like they're all these reptilian pedophiles who fucking billionaires and hate us. Like, that, those are the people in the government. That's not what the idea of government
No, the
is
idea
really.
of government itself, the notion, I think the concept has been corrupted because you've had so many people. And again, I think it comes back to, people pursue power, and then, people in government then are able to give themselves money. So it's like, why would psychopaths not be attracted to government when they can lie and get away with it so long as they parrot talking points and then forget them conveniently after they've been elected? If they gain power, they gain status, influence, and money. Like, you're basically, like, government, we've basically set it up to be like, oh, well, we want to attract good people, so we're just going to give them a lot of power and a lot of money, and then no one bad will ever come into the government. That they won't abuse that system at all. Like, there's too much faith in man when it comes to
Something like that.
government.
I mean, I think when the original ones were formed, it was kind of... I would say that there was at least part of it that was like, all right, let's get together as a collective and lay some ground rules for structures and work towards having things in place that are kind of unified and not just let loose to, like, whatever dismay they may find. There's obviously the other notions of some of them may have been kind of racist. Some of the racism may have just been because that's how it was back then. Some of it was just actually bad. Like, it's a mixed bag. But one of the items in that bag was a good idea of having some sort of head to the body that developed infrastructure or developed any of the conveniences that we experience from government. Somebody who fixes our roads, somebody who provides healthcare, some education. Like, those things make sense to have some sort of unity on. And I guess when I hear government and I hear people shitting on government, I'm like, the idea of a government is not bad. The people in the government, they have been, just doing what I think anybody does when it's the Wild West and you can get away with shit.
Especially when you can make the bad thing that you're doing legal. Or you have at your disposal the people who can cover up what you're doing.
That's more so.
Everyone keeps it
passing
hush-hush.
laws on fucking pedophilia. Like, they're getting away with the shit, covering up, keeping it out of the news. They never should have owned the media, I guess. So
yeah, government-funded media, I think, is a very dangerous precedent.
Yeah, he has no business there.
Yeah, I was never. I think that's another caveat we can anyway.
Yeah.
But so question 112, you think?
If you could create your society, what would look different from the one where you live now? I think.
Why would she ask number? I'm sorry. I'm
would
trying
a
not to
perfect
just
society-
rag on her, but she asks.
All right.
She asked the same question 2 questions
Let's do
ago.
this. We can keep it short, but this one we'll use more than ideal. If I have my ideal one, it's all purple. Everything's purple, blue, or maybe gold. There's no gray. We just eliminate gray. You can't have that. You go to jail.
Gray sweatpants, you just straight up get home.
Everybody smokes Viceroy. There's no other cigarettes with Viceroy. Labatt Blue is the only thing offered at any bar.
Holy fuck!
Or shit and water.
I don't like your
This
world.
is my ideal society.
Oh, okay.
If
All right.
you could create your society, what would look different from the one where you live? I'm just going to town. Obviously, this is not in any way helpful for us to progress as a fucking collective. But everything's purple. You go to jail if you paint anything gray. Everybody has to smoke Viceroy cigarettes, drink Labatt Blue. You have cinnamon rolls for breakfast. Everybody does yoga, and everybody studies astrology, and everybody skates, and there's a mini ramp on every street corner.
Wouldn't everyone skating kind of take away from the aesthetic of skating? Like, isn't part
Tony,
of it...
this is my society, and if you keep talking like that, I've got a place for you. It's with the fucking gray painters.
All you have is a bed of sweatpants.
There's
Dirty
no
sweatpants.
EDM. EDM's scrapped. That's illegal. Basically, we just listen to Man Man. Man Man has written the national anthem, and he's played everywhere. There's going to be like streetlights. We'll also have speakers where good music is played, and it's my playlist that I choose. Yeah, that's what does yours look like?
I get rid of really shitty Russian hacker jokes. We have more trees so that I can go on little adventures during the day. Mm-hmm. Public transit would be a much better thing.
Okay.
More trash cans everywhere I go, so that people, if you litter, then you get a kick in the ribs or something. I don't like littering. Mm-hmm. Ashtrays and trash cans, everywhere. I think smoking at work, like inside, I think that'd be dope. If books would be a thing. Rests at work would be a bit more of a thing. If you see someone at a bar reading a book, unless you have something interesting to say and not just what you reading. Mm-hmm. My question, by the way, if you ask me that if I'm at a bar, in my head at least, is apparently fucking nothing. Books are the headphones of the eyes. I'm at a bar to read, probably talk to the bartender because that's why I'm there. Don't talk to me unless you have something to add. Instead, if you're just drunk and you're amazed that you found the unicorn that is someone drinking it or reading at a bar, then fuck off. If you're just like, whoa, I just want to praise you for reading.
Yeah.
If you I've had that so many times. Thank you. I had a guy come up and he was just like, whoa, man, you're reading at a bar, and he kept on saying I wish there was a way to get in touch with you. I wish there was a way to talk to you. And it's just and I just lied. And now, mind you, I don't lie very often.
Yeah.
But I lied through my teeth. I was like, yeah, sorry, man, I don't have a phone. Facebook, I mean, I'm banned. I was caught up in a Somali pirate situation. I was just no, there is no way in hell I want to talk to you if you're this dumb drunk. It just, to me, if you're this amazed that someone's reading a book at a bar, again, I don't mind if people come up, because there was at the pump house there, I'd be reading, and there was a really nice older French gentleman. Mm. He would come up and he would be like, read me one line from the book. And I'd read him a line, and oh, beautiful, and he would share stuff with me. I don't mind that at all, because then you're contributing, right? It's an actual discussion. It's not just
brain dead fucking.
It's not just someone it's to me, and mind you, I understand that I kind of attribute malice where it's not intended or whatever. But to me, it's almost like someone sees you reading a book and they're like, wow, I wish I was reading a book. So then you go and talk to that guy to make yourself feel better, because at least you're talking to the guy reading a book, even if you're not the guy reading a book. If you go to a bar and you don't want to fucking read a book, don't read a book. I go to the bar because chances are I'm waiting for your table to leave so I can chat with my buddy.
Yeah.
And until that point, I will read my book until I get my chicken wings or my baked brie. I'll sip on my soda water, and I will continue on with my night. I do not want to hear from you unless I already know you, typically.
Yeah.
There are very few instances where I'm just like, oh, good, new people. I'm so sober and ready to deal with this. No, I'm here to do my thing. This is my hangout spot. That's why I'm in the same fucking chair every week.
Yeah.
Leave me alone. That being said, do reach out to people, because you never know. Someone might need a kind word.
So, in your society, you can read a book in peace, and that person goes to jail if they bug you?
I think I should, I don't know, maybe...
Another kick in the ribs?
I think at that point, maybe the bartender should be like, hey, shoot! Or what's the name of the author and what kind of book? At least crack down on it and be like, hey, what do you have to contribute? Or is he bothering you? Well, Shane, I really wish that he would kind of have something to contribute. Fuck off. Leave Tony alone.
Yeah.
But my perfect society, basically frogs. Less littering, more forests. I would like more frogs and spiders everywhere. Yeah. I don't really bother too much thinking about what society should look like. I'm more focused on what I want from myself and what I'm trying to do. Like I said, in a more serious note, I think that criminal records shouldn't have the stigma, at least in the employment, in areas of employment.
We covered that, though. This is your make-believe society where everybody can smoke Viceroys.
In my perfect society,
Nobody's allowed to pay
you can
anything
drink
for
all
it.
day and it's not indicative of an alcohol problem. Alcohol does not make you dumber. It just makes you feel good and doesn't like leave you with depression for weeks on end afterwards.
Yeah, somehow healthy too. Makes you
Somehow healthy. I want psilocybic mushrooms to be not only legal but more regularly prescribed instead of like toxic pharmaceuticals.
Mm-hmm.
Cigarettes and tobacco products would be much less costly, and they would be allowed to display their brand like any other product.
Yeah.
And if not, then I want McDonald's to have nothing but obesity and heart disease warnings on the bags, so that it's ruined for everyone. Because if I can't buy a pack of smokes without Barb Tarbox looking me in the eyes, you shouldn't be able to buy 3 fucking Big Macs.
Yeah.
And then just go about your day with, I'm loving it. No, like why can't I just enjoy my fucking cancer stick, and you can go and just chow down on heart disease and clogged arteries and then think nothing of it because the golden arches are there smiling at you, giving you a real pretty wink. I don't like it. Basically, yeah, my society is tailored around me with more trees. I want there to be more fresh water. I think Jones Lake should be at a point where it's maintained enough that I can actually go swimming in it and not be worried about being dragged down into muck. And if the lake could be more than 3 feet deep, that would also be dope.
Fair.
Conservation, no littering. I really don't know. I think more animals. Labels. I want like universal labels of like, hey, this is a cleaner. I don't need things that are like, this is corrosive. I don't think that you should have laws where it's like, oh well, he drank too much and then he drove home. It's the bartender's fault. No, that's on you. Like if you don't like.
Onus on the individual.
Well, like that's the thing is I was talking to my buddy from India, right? And he's like, yeah, in India, like you don't get in trouble as a bartender. If someone fucking drinks and drives, like that's on them. And I think that's absolutely true. Like if I can get in trouble for drinking and driving, then that's all the responsibility is on me. It shouldn't be the bartender's responsibility to turn away money. Now, if you're being annoying and you're too drunk, then yeah, like you should get cut off. Like I was working as a bartender one time, and this guy came up. The first time I was like, I gave him a drink. Second time he came up and he was kind of like, like I don't know, like if he, But I was kind of like, okay. And then he came up the third time, and I was like, buddy, I can't serve you another drink. I think you're too fucking drunk, man. Sorry, bud. And he's like, oh, okay. Like, that's how I know that he was, because, like, obviously he'd been getting away with it for too long. But, well, I mean, what's funny is the amount of times I haven't been cut off just because people are like, oh, that's Tony. Like...
Well, yeah, that's how it rolls. Speaking of Tony, I have a gift for Tony. I have a gift for both of us. I think it's fitting after a cigar. You're not quite done yours yet, but... What's also fitting after a cigar is a cigarette. I typically think one of the best cigarettes is a cigarette after a cigar.
Really?
I was at a Russian-Ukrainian store.
Taste of the homeland?
Yep. I figured you knew it, so I grabbed us a variety of Russian-Ukrainian candies. So.
Oh, neat.
I don't know if you're interested in venturing into some of these, but they're there. This one's Black Cat. This one's just straight up sit vodka. Don't know. I didn't. Anyways, yeah. There's variety. I'm gonna crack into one of these. And
all right. I'm loving this fucking cigar. I wish it didn't sting my eye so bad, so I could just chomp on it. But like.
I don't understand how they chomped on it. If you chomp on that thing, you're just getting nothing but a mouthful of tobacco. She's dry. Maybe they were wetter back then.
Maybe.
That's what my grandpa always used to say.
She's dry?
No, that they were wetter back then. I don't think he was talking about cigars, but he never really
He was
clarified.
a cryptic man.
Number 113. What role should the government have in the lives of individuals? I'm gonna skip this because we already covered this.
Yeah,
and all the shit we just said.
Okay, so instead of answering this question, I just want to say something about Krista.
Yeah.
Is that, like, I know we rag on her a lot, and then I kind of be like, you know what, she's probably trying her best. You need to do better. Like, there's a lot of questions where she obviously, like, and I'm not saying, like, I think she really phones it in.
Previous question.
And it's if you, I don't know if she had a set number that her bosses gave her or whatever, but she's obviously, for a lot of these questions, just phoning it in, rewording, being redundant, like, does grass feel pain when you step on it, and do trees feel pain? Like, you can do better. So, again, I don't think she's a terrible person. I don't think, that she's a bad person. I maintain that I don't think she's any fun at parties. But she really kind of... I think it's a bit...
It's just fucking redundant.
It's redundant and it's lazy, tell you the truth. Like, it doesn't seem like this is...
I don't think her boss was like, yo, give me 255 philosophical questions.
Well, and that's the thing I'm not quite sure if she just didn't proofread or... And I don't want to come off as vitriolic or hateful, but it's just kind of like, why do you...
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, just don't waste our time and don't waste your time. 255, it doesn't, because philosophy, I find, obviously... It's well, not obviously, but I find philosophy means, deeper questions and pertinent questions or interesting questions. And she's just, time after time, has failed to deliver those. Mm-hmm. So basically that's my rant. So we can go on to the next question.
Number 114, what makes a good leader? Selflessness.
I think a leader is someone who leads by example. Someone who will not ask you to do anything that they are themselves not willing to do. Mm-hmm. If you're asking someone to do a job because you don't want to do it, chances are you're not being a leader, you're being a boss. Being someone, I think a leader is also empathetic, patient, and looks at not just what they need done, but really gets to know their team and figures out who is the best person for that job and this job, and, really has an understanding of who they're working with and who's working, quote unquote, under them, right? Because a leader shouldn't necessarily be, I don't think, a position of this, like, grounded authority, but also just like, hey, you're the best one. You're kind of like a delegation of, you're the best one for the job of figuring out what we should be doing. We give that responsibility to you to guide us, kind of like on a pirate ship. The captain was really only the captain during certain periods, right?
Oh. Didn't know that.
Yeah, no, like the pirate ships were democracy. So they'd appoint a captain because you can't have several heads telling everyone orders, right? So they'd appoint the captain would be like, okay, so like you do this, that, like, so it was like, okay, you lead because you can't have directions coming from several different sources. But I think leaders get to know the crew, leaders get to know what needs to be done and who's going to do that job best. And be understanding of different work processes. Maybe you've got someone who, like, they fucking power through their job for 3 hours, out of their 9-hour shift, and then they're not as on point for the last 9 hours. Like, everything gets done, but they've done everything necessary. All the goals of the day have been done in those first 3 hours.
Yeah.
Some people might like to put it off as long as the job gets done near the end. As long as the job is done, like, understand that people have different work ethics and different work practices, I guess, is what would make a good leader to me. But especially do not ask people to do something you yourself are not willing to do. If you do that, you're a fucking goblin.
There we go. Still, yeah, I don't have anything to disagree with that. I said selflessness just because then it's...
Yeah, so I kind of took the reins on that one and ran with it. But yeah, selflessness.
Well, yeah, basically everything you said, I just sort of was like summing it up with one word rather than saying all that stuff. But I think the selflessness just makes it so that they understand the position and don't see it as...
Well, humility too, like, right? Like, if you get a big head about being a leader, chances are you're not being a very good leader.
No. Alright. Number 115. Can someone do a bad thing and still be a good person? Yes. We've covered this already, I'm pretty sure.
This doesn't really seem like society and government.
Yeah. Yeah. you kind of need to do bad things to be a good person, to be honest.
Well, to figure it out, but also like everybody makes mistakes and everybody makes bad decisions. Mm-hmm. You know, I think it's if you learn from those bad decisions or those mistakes and you put those to good use, then obviously you're a good person. Mm-hmm. If you're making decisions that are hurting yourself, well, I don't even want to go into that, I guess, but if you are truly being malicious in your decisions, then you're probably not a good person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's a scale to this, but can you do a bad thing and still be a good person? Of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's...
Yeah. Number 116. Is prison the best way to protect society and correct individuals?
No, I would
say
We
already answered this question too. Rehabilitation...
Rehabilitation is obviously the best way, and if that fails, then execution.
Kind of that, you know.
Yeah.
Eventually we will be able to be very, very good at rehabilitation. Mm-hmm. And eventually we probably won't even need rehabilitation because we'll get it from the get-go.
Well, I think if you have systems in place to identify problems and help those individuals along the way, but like in Germany and Denmark and Scandinavia and shit, like you go to prison and they're actually, from what I've seen, mind you, my research was not even research, it wasn't extensive, it's, clips and snippets from here and there.
Yeah.
Is that you go and you actually, it's a place of healing, not a place of punishment. I think that prison being purely penal does not do you any good, because I know for me personally, I'm willing to learn from my mistakes. I want to learn from my mistakes. If I have someone telling me you're such a piece of shit, fuck you, don't do this, you're horrible.
Yeah.
My reaction is, I'm going to do it harder, right? I'm going to absolutely say, you want to call me a piece of shit? Okay, well, let's see how deep this rabbit hole goes.
Piece of shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's...
Because there's the thing with all the serial killers that they've noticed, the only link was the parenting, absence of a father. There's one unifying thread, and there's something to that effect. So, to me, if you find a unifying thread between that group of people, and it's the absence of a father, make it so that parents are good parents. How do you make that? Well, probably starts with education. Education leads you to be able to make decisions.
I think also programs that allow you to... I think also programs that help you deal with the problems in your life.
Yeah.
Instead of... I think that instead of condemning people, oh, you need help? Come. Help. Mm-hmm. You're brave for admitting that you're wrong. You're brave for admitting that you need help. Come get some healing. Learn to love yourself. When you love yourself, you'll be more able... we covered this before. You'll be more capable of loving those around you.
Yeah. Alright. It's 116, 117. Does the legal system function fairly?
No.
Yeah.
No. No.
No. It's a work in progress, too. One day, maybe, but...
Well, yeah, I think when we stop letting money dictate everything that we do and rewarding people for being rich and punishing people for being poor, I think then the legal system will become much fairer or more fair? Fairest. So fairer. It'll be a lot fairer.
Mm-hmm. It will be very pretty.
On the wall, mirror, mirror, on the wall.
Jesus, Krista's, Number 118. 118 is one of my least favorite numbers. It's actually the number I hate the most.
Really?
Yeah, and is technology good? That, yes, it's good. You had said neutral, right? Kind of when it was
well, can a tool be good or not? Yeah, it's what you do with it. Mm-hmm. I mean, technology, and that's such a broad term, but technically, okay, so I'll for purpose of this exercise, of this question, I'll say, technology is the advancement of engineering and mechanics. I would say, it's progress, it's good.
Yeah.
But, again, You can use some like, viruses, people just making viruses on the internet for the sake of making viruses. Heat-seeking, baby-killing bullets, like those probably aren't good, but yeah, technology in general is good. That's how we've developed this. I mean, if you look at it, technology is learning how to make a fire with a couple of sticks.
There you go.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. The heat-seeking baby missiles, that's something the Liberal Party is working on. I saw some
in partnership with Planned Parenthood?
Yes, yeah.
Well, that
you guys don't want abortion?
Baby skull-seeking bullets is a skit from Whitest Kids You Know. It's quite a long one, but basically it ends up in this baby skull bandits. This guy's walking around with a baby skull. It's really just a doll head on a necklace around his neck, and this guy comes out of the studio and he and it's like shoots the bullet, and it's like following the bullet, and it's going towards him, and then the bullet, of course, takes like a right angle and shoots a baby in a carriage in the head, and just the shock. Very funny comedy troupe. Unfortunately, Trevor Moore is no longer with us. Rest in peace, buddy. You definitely affected. He's another. So I've mentioned that, like, in as far as celebrities dying, Robin Williams, Alex Trebek, and Trevor Moore. Those are the three celebrities that really, when I found out they died, I was like, oh. Like a set of dusty bagpipes. I just exhaled in true despair.
I feel that. Mine was Prodigy of Mob Depp.
When you say, okay, you can't, like, you're just gonna reinforce when you say it so confidently like that.
Part of the ruse. Number 119. Can technology advance society in a way that is beneficial?
You gotta give us more than this, Krista.
This is literally the same one as the fucking, like...
Wow.
Yes, it can. It can. We're done with this. Like, I fucking... What do you want? An example? I can fucking see my grandma's face at Christmas when I'm not in the same city and I can't be there. So, thank you, technology. And that, to me, is an advancement.
You can make a bunch of lovely friends from Russia and other Slavic countries that stay with you through the years, give you advice and support. I'm just, of course, speaking from... If anyone didn't guess, I'm speaking from personal experience. Привет, спасибо для быть мои друзья.
Namaste.
I think I just said thank you for being my friends, and truly.
There it is. Beneficial. Number 120. Are taxes morally right?
I'm going to try the one that says vodka.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, I wonder why.
I'll try it with you then.
Dope. I mean...
I've got this one that has a lobster on it. Or maybe that's a shrimp. I'm not really sure, but that's one I figure we'll try together too.
I want to... Now, like... Just, I don't know. I like... Even though I'm not drinking, I still like... Well, I mean, I sit there at night sometimes and I think about the wonderful burn of vodka and just the taste, but I do just like vodka as a beverage.
Well, let's... It's not bad at all.
No. That's quite tasty. That's going to wreak havoc on the audio.
It's actually quite nice.
The next one I want to... Confetti.
They're kind of like wafers.
Alyonka.
Oh, I got this one, two of them too. I'll go in with you.
Now, this week on Smugglers Cove, we are doing a candy reveal. An unboxing.
I thought this said eat.
Oh, what that says. He's got the still. I like those ones.
I like the packaging.
Yeah.
Just a Russian baby. Or Ukrainian baby.
Well,
You'd be able to tell better.
well, yeah. So when you say Russian or Ukrainian, I'm just looking at the packaging to look for letters that I don't necessarily
Because it's
recognize.
Russian, Ukrainian, Polish, and Israeli. Are all the
Hebrew?
stores.
I don't think Hebrew comes from the Cyrillic at all.
They said Israel on the sign.
Yeah, because there's a lot of Russian Jews.
I'm just saying what was, like, to help narrow your...
No, but Hebrew is a completely... Well, Hebrew, the letters look kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, yeah, no...
I'm just giving this to you if that helped you deciphering where that was from.
No, those look like Russian letters, is what I'm saying. Because when you're looking at, like, Ukrainian or Polish or or other Slavic countries, like it's like Russian, but a little bit different. Like, in Ukrainian, they have something that looks like an I. Russian doesn't have that.
Alright.
Anyway.
Well, there it is. Do you know where it's from?
That's Russian.
Russian. Okay.
Yeah. Русский. Русский язык.
Wonderful. What?
Wonderful. Отлично.
Number 120. Are taxes morally right? If they're used...
We kind of touched on this in another episode.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, taxes, I think, are necessary to an extent, but I think the government now is just like they got the green-eyed monster, and they're just like, oh, let's tax everything, give ourselves money, and do very little with that to actually help the society.
Yeah, so they can be morally right if they're used.
More often than not, I would say they're abused, is what I would say, yeah.
There we go. Number 121. Should it be lawful for citizens to hold protests? What if a handful of the protesters make it violent?
Well, then that becomes a riot, so you're not protesting anymore.
That's a good point. And also, ideally, you shouldn't have a reason to fucking protest. Things should be going so well that there's no need for protests.
I would say at the same time, however, that protests... Because obviously...
I'm not anti-protest in
No.
statement. I'm just saying that protests come about from somebody doing something the wrong fucking way. If they just were doing it the right way, we wouldn't need to protest.
At the same time, however, a protest, I think, ideally, comes from just pointing out an oversight by the government rather than the government doing something, us being like, that's inherently corrupt. So in today's society, I would say that protests are probably... quite healthy and necessary, but ideally it would only just you should be able to do it with petitions instead of protest.
Yeah,
I think, which is kind of more in line with your thinking, if I'm reading that right.
just shouldn't have to come to protest. I'm not like if it has to come to protest.
If it's brought up, a situation that's brought up should be addressed. It shouldn't be swept under the carpet. But yeah, you should have the right to protest. And if somebody becomes violent, then
well, if it takes a riot for you to stop being a dumbass, any means necessary, almost. I don't fucking think that says anything good about whatever it is that needed a fucking riot for it to be corrected. However, if it gets the job done,
yeah,
I'm not opposed to it. I just don't think that should ever be the job needing done.
At the same time, I think that you can take causes too far, because some people just like to riot, like, I'm going to stay away from an elephant in the room as far as rioting's going too far in the last couple of years, but you look at riots like after,
I mean, I would be fucking
sports.
wicked good at a riot.
Just carry the sticks and the bricks.
Oh, just destruction. I'm just fucking good at destruction. But I would rather not be doing it for a cause other than enjoyment. If
we should go to the Wreck-It room sometime. That sounds like fun.
Yes, yeah, I agree.
I wonder if they let you bring your own tools, because I've got a wrecking bar that I think would be dope.
Yeah, I definitely go to that.
But yeah, if a handful of protesters make it violent, then I think they should be ostracized by the actual non-violent protesters, and then they should be dealt with accordingly.
Did you see that clip of the dancing protest?
No.
It's fucking... I mean, when I looked at that, I'll see if I can find it here on YouTube, but it was... I was like, you just please throw a brick through a window. I can't watch any more of this.
This is too peaceful.
Yeah. See if I can find it.
We've entered the realm of too zen.
This guy's just fucking dancing and like... Yeah, here it is. This. Oh wait, I should get the mic muted, or I'll just mute this. I'll full screen this. This is not going to help at all. Well, we'll still be in the thumbnail, okay. This. Like, I want him to just throw brick through the window right now.
See, and what makes me feel uneasy about that is if I'm, like, because with officers, right, they're doing a lot of erratic movements.
Mm-hmm.
And moving their arms all around in a way that if they had a weapon, they could pull it. So if I was a cop, thank God I'm not, but if I was a cop, that would make me really fucking nervous. Like...
LAPD gets served. Served what? Cup of awkwardness?
Just sitting there like, this is cringe.
Yeah.
Going home to his wife, I got served, someone crumped at me. What the fuck is crump, John? Like...
Well, I just basically won't be able to get it up for the next 3 years.
I've just been emasculated.
So, in lieu of that, get violent. You heard it here first.
Get violent.
Alright. 122. What makes people work together despite differences?
A common goal.
Yep. Number 100.
I really don't... Like, okay, so I know I keep coming back to that, but that doesn't... Okay, so in preparation for today's podcast, as I was lounging in my tub, as I am wont to do, I looked up what is philosophy, right? And like yes, philosophy does enter into like every facet essentially of human daily life. You know, even wondering what you should have for breakfast, what's the best thing for you. Mm-hmm. But when you're like, what makes people work together despite difference? If we can come up with an answer right off the bat of commonality or a common goal, like, what is this? You know, like it's more like find the answer than it is philosophy is finding the answer, but like there's no real great thinking power of what makes people work together despite differences. Well, I don't know, like if you don't like your coworker but you both want to get out early on time, or get out on time, get your job done quickly.
Well,
you know?
Exactly that, because what I think it's maybe probing to do is like the fucking like an even more profound minutia, like the ability to set aside differences. Like any of the answers I could give, I'm like, I don't need to do any of this. Like those answers could be right, and then some of the answers are just going to lead into this open-ended field where it's like I've done nothing but leave the person more confused. So keep it, like you said, a common goal. Done. Like, that encapsulates everything. You can fucking word it a million other ways, but you're just going to either boil down to the same point or be in that confused open field. Number 123. Does societal advancement only happen with collaboration?
So thank you for answering the question previous.
Absolutely.
You need to work together on things.
Yeah, just duh.
Like, obviously one group of people might be able to accomplish it with their collaboration, but if you have everyone on board, many hands makes light work, right?
Exactly.
Like, cooperation and collaboration go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Right? No pun intended, but...
No, because we could sit here and come up with all the great ideas, or I could sit by myself and figure out all the best ideas, but to enact them, I need people to cooperate with me. Yeah. I need to cooperate with them. It has to be this mutual thing. Number 124. In what ways can disagreements advance society?
Well, I'd say finding what is wrong or what needs to be fixed. Opening people's eyes to a different perspective, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she touched on this kind of way when she brought up the systemic racism period, and ableism. It's like, we disagree on those, like, that they shouldn't exist, so then we can make it so they don't exist.
Yeah.
And just, like, you have to disagree with what is going wrong.
Or at least get them to a manageable level, I'd say, where it's not so prevalent or all-encompassing in daily life or
just gone.
Societal systems.
Shoot for the moon. If we can wipe it out, right?
I'd say, so the only reason I would disagree with that is because then you have things like people saying like microaggressions and things like that, where people really nitpick, where it's like if you are talking to someone, say an immigrant, and you ask like, oh, where are you from? And it's like, that's racism, that's a microaggression. Well, like, or what if I want to just learn about his culture? You know what I mean? Like, and I find it's a very Western idea that is a microtransaction, whereas like when we were talking to the guy from, the guy bagging our groceries at Superstore the other day, it's not like we were being like, oh, let's laugh at you because you're from India. Obviously we did not. Like, you're just asking questions to get to know someone better.
Yeah.
I think that there's a fear of racism that really does inhibit kind of cooperation, because if you're scared to say something because you don't want to come off as racist, because there's this kind of I'm not to use a Trumpism, but like a witch hunt out to make sure that nobody is ever sounds even like implicit, so you don't even want to come off as racist if someone like greatly extrapolates it or takes it out of context, right? So it makes people afraid to speak and afraid to interact with other people of a different race. I don't think that is helpful.
No, it's not.
Right?
Like, I would also like to myth bust here and say, if you are a person who perpetuates the mythology of microaggressions, you quite likely don't have any friends. Like, I don't see that person being... If you do have friends, they also all suck, just like you. Because microaggressions is not this thing that's like, oh, I'm fucking pioneering the future. It's like, you're fucking putting us a step back because
you're nitpicking every social interaction to make sure that it's perfect, squeaky clean.
Yeah.
And I don't think that to err is to human, right? And so while I'm not in favor of racism in conversations or whatever, but if people are not able to voice their opinion for fear, even if their opinion is just and true, if they're not able to express that because someone could say, well, that sounds a little bit, and just because I think that we use like
you need to be able to speak without the fear of being condemned.
Well, and that's the thing, but condemned especially unjustly, because I find a lot of the time where people will just be like, oh, well, that's racist, and then people get focused on that, so then obviously the argument being made is discredited simply because someone said, oh, that sounds a little racist. That's not necessarily true, or it sounds a little sexist or ableist or whatever, because if you're constantly trying to root out any instance of possible racism, I find that you then you over-sanitize so that you can't necessarily address topics, because then they become taboo or unapproachable.
Yeah, because you're trying to fix a problem, and then on top of the problem you have to walk on eggshells.
Yeah, like it's dirty work. Fixing anything is dirty work, right? Like you need to be able to get your hands dirty and attack these questions and attack these things with
it's not always going to be pretty.
With dedication, and you're going to unearth things that aren't pretty, and you might need to approach topics that it's not the best, it's not the most enjoyable thing to work through them, but you still need to work through them. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, just, like if you're going to dig a ditch, you got to go through some dirt. Like, you're going to have to deal with rocks. You're going to hit those rocks. You're going to probably strain your back, lift correctly with the legs. Like, you're going to have to, going to come across some very ugly situations that you have to address. Now, mind you, it really does depend on people putting their best selves forward and really working towards a common goal and truly trying to make the best difference possible. But as I've said before, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and I have a sneaking suspicion that Krista's got quite a road paved.
Mm-hmm. And
I'm not condemning her to eternal damnation. What I mean is that I think that Krista comes from a very good-hearted place, but I think that she is not necessarily thinking about all the implications of her over-sanitized speech. We'll put it that way.
Fine with that. Fine with that. Number 125. Fucking banger. What makes a crime a crime?
I actually think this is a pretty good question.
Alright.
So, judging by your response, I'll take the lead.
Yep.
Okay, so I'll wait for my lobster candy. I think that actually does say lobster.
Well, I'll try the lobster with you.
Racolvier.
I can't imagine what this is going to taste like.
Shaky.
Odd way they package, like, the fold.
But I do.
Twist.
Oh, this is a... Alright, okay. So what makes a crime a crime? I think that... So this, maybe... A crime, I think...
Doesn't smell like lobster.
Good to know. Solid win. So far, the candy's 10 out of 10. But I think, so this is something that I come up with, I come across quite often in my ponderings and in my musings, perhaps.
Yeah.
Is that a crime? Just because something is illegal does not make it morally wrong, and just because something is legal does not necessarily make it moral or just, right? Mm-hmm. So, you could argue back in the day it was illegal to buy, sell, smoke weed, right? Mm-hmm. But it's not illegal to commit infidelity, right?
Yeah.
Two things that I think that we can agree on. It's not wrong to smoke weed. You probably shouldn't be cheating on your spouse. Mm-hmm. Not probably. You shouldn't. There's a reason why you got married. Figure it the fuck out.
Yeah. Nice boobs.
But, so what makes a crime a crime? I would say a true crime is something that only exists to harm or to damage other people while putting yourself forward.
Yeah.
To damage. I think
it doesn't
crime
advance
comes from damage.
Us. Yeah. It's behavior that's unbecoming.
Well, it doesn't advance us. It only serves to advance the person. Right? I think broad strokes, what I would say, what makes a crime is hurting other people for your own gain.
It's not always for the own person's gain, though. Well, I guess...
Well, but I mean, even in,
Yeah.
I mean,
maybe I agree with that more than I want to. It's just, if you rape somebody, I guess you technically, gained enough.
I mean, you lose a lot more than you could ever possibly gain with the crime of rape. That's a horrible
killing people.
Crime.
Yeah, I guess I agree with that more than I thought. Crime to me just seems so simple. Like crime is a. Did you eat this lobster thing?
No. I think these are like the worst candies to have on a podcast, but... Mm-hmm.
I didn't know it was going to be like this. Honestly, I didn't know any of them were going to be like whatever they were. I don't know why they got lobster. Really, maybe it's like fisherman's friend. Like this is something that a lobster fisherman eats.
No, but on the inside it's kind of like a wafer.
Oh, really?
It's tasty.
Oh, crunchy.
I don't do well with hard candies. I typically last 30 seconds before I'm just like, no.
Mm-hmm. That is strange. I was not expecting the wafer.
No, but not altogether. Well, I wouldn't say. I find. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a huge candy guy.
I was happier that it wasn't a hard candy. I thought it was hard candy until you told me I had a wafer. All right. Number 126. How should citizens who believe the laws in their country be unjust behave? Is it okay for them to ignore those laws and are still bound to do what the laws ask of them?
That
It's written terribly.
is it okay for them to ignore those laws and are still bound to do what the law?
I think this is obviously like about hijabs.
That's what you. I'm not disagreeing. My mind doesn't go there, but okay.
Well,
Continue.
because is it okay for them to ignore those laws and are still bound to do what the laws ask them? This is where I thought it was going, of like something that's kind of archaic, but it's a law, and so you do what the law asks, but it's not right. How should citizens who believe the laws in their country... This is where be unjust is not worded correctly. How should citizens who believe the laws in their country to be unjust behave?
Mm-hmm. Typically, for a lot of things, I just ignore the law, and if it's something like day-to-day existence, I typically just say, okay, well, I mean, don't get caught. And it comes down to, the people that those laws are in place for are the ones that it's like, okay, we caught you doing this really stupid thing.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a law. It should be common sense, or do the thing that they're warning you against with common sense. Mm-hmm. Like if you're texting while you're going through a turn, that happened to me once. It was terrifying. Mm-hmm. Not me. I don't text and drive.
Yeah.
But I was in a car with a lady, and she was texting. She pulled it out during the turn. And I was like, "What are you doing?" Like, Kim, fucking scared me. But,
So does she believe that it's unjust?
I don't think she worries too much. Which is
told
weird.
to not text.
Well, what's funny is because she came from Korea, so I don't know if she was just like, oh, there's no cameras, I'll do what I want. I can't get caught, nothing bad can happen if the police don't see it, except you're turning.
Yeah. There's somewhere in the back of my brain there's a stereotype that
I'm not gonna
you could protest it, you could ignore it, you could leave the country.
I think protesting is probably well, I mean, for certain laws, however, you're not going to get it's kind of, if you advocate for the abolishment of certain laws, you're just going to come off as a really shitty person, even if it kind of seems like more of a common sense thing.
Yeah, but
I think in
most
most
have the word unjust, so I think that's why I went to the whole hijab thing. It's kind of, it's like, all right, if you are fine with the religion and you respect the values that you think it instills, practice it. No problem. Mm-hmm. If you don't, and you don't want to practice it,
so you're
should also be no problem.
You're talking about when you go over to a Middle Eastern country and Western women have to wear the hijab even if they're not Muslim, is what I'm gathering?
Kind of what I'm saying. They should be open to be like, all right, this is the way we do it here, but also it's done differently elsewhere. So I'm not going to shit on you for not doing it. You don't shit on me for doing it.
Yeah.
Let's respect each other and just be at peace. That's where, because I thought this was something about the bra burning and the advancement of female rights, which is obviously...
I mean, if you don't want to wear a bra, don't wear a bra. But also, I don't want to hear about you complain about back pain if you choose not to wear a bra. I understand that bras are a really uncomfortable apparatus.
Oh.
But if you really don't want to wear a bra, you don't have to.
You shouldn't be forced to.
Yeah. I don't, obviously, I work in an industry where, we might not nitpick as much. But, if you're in an office job and someone's like, Clarissa, we can see your nipples. Okay, well, I mean, it might be distracting. Well, in that case, I don't know. I put Band-Aids over my nipples if I was in that situation, but...
Don't be a slob. Dress respectfully of yourself.
Respect yourself and
yeah.
I mean, also, I think that when it comes to distracting apparel or distracting dress in a workplace, you have to understand if you are dressing in a distracting manner, you kind of know what's coming, right? So you have to not necessarily take everything that you get, but you also cannot be outraged by...
It's not a fucking mystery.
By some...
It's not
exactly,
this
right?
Fucking... Yeah.
It's kind of like there was...
So, basically, they keep burning the bras, push the fucking movement forward, absolutely. And then
I think just don't buy the bras. I don't know why you're burning them.
Because it's about female rights. It's not like it's their.
I just think it's a waste of materials.
Okay, that's
just
fair.
Don't wear a bra.
But the point of it is to advance the rights for females in their country. So obviously we both support that. Yeah. And then it's also like if there's females that don't support you doing what you're doing, let them be them.
Chances are you're not in the same social circles anyway, so you probably don't have to deal with them outside of work or just shitty comments out in public.
Everybody lives in the same house in Iran. I don't know what you've read, but you should.
They only have one building there, and it's the whole country.
Yeah, exactly. So the bra burning gets a little tense.
I bought it for you for your birthday. You have to wear it.
Win the war, ladies. Win the war. Number 127, is it morally wrong to abstain from voting? I don't fucking think so.
I think it's wrong to abstain from voting if then you're going to complain about how the government acts.
Good luck with that. I agree, but good luck with that.
But you know what I mean? If you're going to be like, oh, the country should be going this direction. Now, I understand that with our two-party system is inherently flawed.
Yeah.
But at least vote, to see if you can... Like do your due diligence, because all you have to do is vote, and then you can complain all you want, and it's like, well, did you vote? Yes, I did. Then bitch away, sir. But if it's like, did you vote? Well, then don't complain about no changes, right? Because your due diligence is voting, mind you. If you ask me, do I think that it truly matters? Because again, no, we're locked in a two-party system, and we should, have ranked choice voting, and there's a lot of decisions that need to be made, and a lot of advancements that are still yet to come, but. At least vote if you're going to complain about how the way things are run. Because that basically voting is you putting your 2 cents in the box, and then make all the Facebook posts you want.
To fucking rag. Yeah. I think that this is what I hope for the future, but I hope eventually we just vote on laws and stop the voting of the parties. Absolve the parties. Have the government just be whoever is most fitted to run. What's that?
Abolish.
What did I say?
Absolve.
Absolve them?
It's like forgive. Abolish is get rid of them.
Well, I guess we could absolve them too.
Well, we absolve them after they've been abolished.
Yeah. 2-for-1 deal, Justin.
There's some abolishment that needs to... Anyway.
I think eventually we would just vote on laws. And, they'd come up, we'd vote. And so in that case... Yeah, it'd be morally wrong to abstain from voting, but it also morally wrong seems a bit drastic. If some fucking, hermit in the woods doesn't want to participate.
Yeah, he's not a bad person. He's not committing a sin by not voting.
He's just honest. So morally wrong is a bit harsh. If you're in the mix, try and help fix it. Yeah. If this is the way in which you can do it for now, participate. I think we well sympathize with all the notions of why voting feels so fucking pointless.
Yeah, absolutely futile.
Yeah, there's that. Number 128, is it wrong for governments not to have healthcare available to all citizens?
I think we've already discussed this.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's fucking insanity.
Take care of your people.
Yeah.
If only the rich can afford healthcare, you have a problem, because even it's not even innately practical, right? Because your lower class, I'll say lower class simply, pertaining to wealth, your poor people are the fucking cogs in the machine, because rich people aren't going to unload pallets.
Yep.
Right? They're not going to drive trucks for... Well, I mean, truck drivers, you're really done dirty too. I know that you need more rest stops, and it's not fair what they do to you. But they're not willing to do the long haul trucking. Rich people are typically not willing to do the kinds of grungy work that is typically poor people are willing to do. Yeah. Get your hands dirty, roll up your sleeves, put some elbow grease into that, and work till the day's done. And I think that if your society is inherently benefiting the rich simply because they're rich.
Yeah.
And you've kind of paywalled any sense of luxury or enjoyment or more importantly, care and resources to better lives, right? You shouldn't be bankrupt getting therapy. You shouldn't be bankrupt getting your teeth fixed. Your eyesight is another one, right? Like
all the way down the line.
Like, thank God for Zenni Optical. Okay, so my last, like, I bought glasses online for the first time this past year, back in October. I got 3 pairs of glasses, 2 things of clip-on sunglasses, and 2 glasses cases. One of them is these ones right here. Super fucking neat.
Huh.
Right? And I don't know why I was fucking stuck with square glasses frames for forever.
Yeah.
But I got all this for $134. 3 pairs of glasses, sunglasses,
yeah,
and 2 nifty glasses cases with microfiber cloths. Not to mention, every pair comes free with like your little measure for your pupillary distance and everything. Mm-hmm. Thank you, whoever came up with Zenni Optical. I want to give you a nice little friendly holy kiss on the cheek. Thank you, because 134 pairs of like, good luck going to any kind of just normal store and getting a single pair of glasses for $134.
Yeah,
right. Like that's crazy.
My mom got some new ones and it was nowhere near.
Yeah, no, Zenni Optical, obviously they're not affiliated with us, but if they ever want to do a sponsorship, that'd be dope.
Yeah.
I'd take money from Zenni Optical so I could keep giving them money, because I want to try out new glasses frames. I want to live a life where I don't have to wear 1 pair of glasses until I get too drunk and lose the next pair. I don't want that to be the point at which I have to find new glasses. So you
get 3 other frames?
I've got 2. I think I ordered it incorrectly, or either they sent me a free pair, or I accidentally ordered 2 pairs of these. But I have this one, and then I have another one which I was thinking about wearing, but I didn't want to. Anyway, maybe next week. Cool. But yeah, they're kind of like wood grain. They're a little bit rounder, I think. But yeah, no, it's super affordable. Yeah. But eyesight. That's where the point was coming from.
Yeah.
Eyesight should be more affordable. Like, because, I mean, $134 is still a lot of money. But for what I got out of it...
Yeah, compared to
what you could get... Like, I paid $130 for my eye appointment to just make sure that my prescription was the same.
Yeah.
So I paid $4 more to get 3 pairs of glasses, 2 pairs of clip-on sunglasses, and 2 really nifty glasses cases for the same price. Actually, no, I think my appointment was $150. I paid less for what I was getting than just the... Oh, no, it stayed the same. And then my eye doctor was like, see you in 2 years. I was like, well, it was the same 2 years ago. You probably won't see me in 2 years.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to pay you $150 so you can tell me everything's good. That's why I stopped going to the dentist.
Fair.
They tell me every time, I was going to the dentist, they kept telling me, oh, come every 3 months, come every 3 months. So I did that for like 2 visits. But then I was just like... Then they're like, oh, we got a new x-ray machine. Well, then I was paying like almost $500 a visit, and I was like, I'm not going to do this, because every time I go, they're like, no, your teeth are great. Well, then why do you keep telling me to come back every 3 months? And then they were like every 6 months, and then I hit a snag in my finances where I just wasn't, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to call you when I want an appointment, when I think something's going wrong, because obviously I take good enough care of I've had 2 cavities in my life. One of them was so tiny that they didn't do anesthetic on it. Mind you, I've been smoking weed until like 5 in the morning, and my appointment was at 9, and I was like, so like then it was like, let me know if it hurts. that sobered me up real quick. And then the other one was so small that like we don't even want to do anything with it. Like there's no point in us even approaching this cavity. Yeah. So obviously I take good enough care of my teeth that I don't need to be shelling out $500 every 3 months, every 6 months, every year for my teeth, because I'm obviously doing a good enough job.
There we go. We should all have fucking healthcare everywhere.
So
it's not even a fucking complicated thing. Like,
long story short. What was the question?
The question now is the next question.
Is the wrong? Yeah, wrong.
Is it wrong for governments
to not have healthcare? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just yes. 129. Should things that are bad for people be banned by government, or is it the individual's responsibility to avoid harmful substances? Everything in moderation.
I think it should be up to the individual. Yeah. I think don't get me wrong, I don't want government run cocaine plants.
Yeah.
But I would say if you're going to oppose... I'm just going to use narcotics for an example. I think that's what's everyone's mind. Am I reading that correctly?
Yeah, that's definitely... I don't want to fucking ban cigarettes.
Well, but like I'm thinking more... I think more like hard drugs and shit.
Yeah.
The only reason why I would say that the government should continue to prosecute or penalize hard drugs is because typically they're brought in by cartels and gangs, and therefore you're giving power to gangs.
Yeah.
That being said, like I said, I don't know what the solution is because I really don't want government-run opium fields. You know?
I mean, they're running weed. I could give a fuck less. Like,
Well,
I
I
think
don't.
just have that shit. If people want to do it, they do it. If they want to fucking... I don't really feel... Because it's kind of like this. There's so many things to fucking solve.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things that, like, just put that off the table. Fucking decriminalize, let them do whatever the fuck they're doing already, and try and tackle something that you can actually tackle.
Well, and I think...
You know, like, obviously the solution to the drug epidemic is education.
Mm-hmm.
So don't fucking pour any
and
more money.
resources, right?
What?
Well, what I mean is, like, so say you decriminalize cocaine, for
Yeah.
instance. Someone develops a problem with cocaine.
Yeah.
Then there are more available resources where they don't feel like they're getting a stigma, or they can feel like they can reach out for help without, like, being persecuted or prosecuted, rather.
Yes
Right.
and no, because I think it starts with education. The more that we're cared for, loved for, understood, and understand these things, then we don't do these things in ways that are detrimental for us, thus not needing the resources. I'm not fucking against the resources, sure.
But you think that you kind of, like, solve the problem before getting there if you had education?
Yeah, go
Okay.
to the start, and just then you don't have to do these things that are down the line.
Yeah, focus on prevention instead of...
intervention.
Intervention, or I forget the other word for it. But.
Convention.
I mean, conventions I've heard are pretty fun.
Detention.
Detention, I hated
Retention.
I mean, you're not supposed
Attention.
to love detention, but...
Alright, number 130. Is there an age at which people should be answerable for their actions?
I think that's
That's what's
that's
called being a fucking adult.
Well, even just being a kid, yes.
That's true.
Like, you colored on the walls, I'm taking away your crayons.
Yeah.
I feel like at an age, I don't think there's any set age, because people develop different, but like... But is there an age? Yeah, in everyone's life, there is an age where you need to be held responsible for your actions.
Yeah, and your body will fucking tell you what you need to answer for pretty quickly, especially as you get older. So.
Oh yeah.
There it is. Your body's the judge and the jury. Number 131. Is it discriminatory not to allow certain people to run for government office? If they're a shitheel, like, I don't care if they feel like it's discriminatory. I don't fucking want them there. So, it may be discriminatory, but that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, discrimination kind of in today's society has a really negative connotation, but you discriminate, like...
If somebody's not fit for the job, I would discriminate against them all day.
Yeah. If someone's... Yeah, so no. Like, if you... You know, are proven to be an untrustworthy and malicious individual, then like we're not letting you. That being said, what I think
we know what this is like. This is based on race or religious beliefs or some shit. Like, is this probably where this is geared?
So no, you shouldn't discriminate in that aspect unless they're part of the what are they called, the Thuggee. Then probably they shouldn't be running for office.
The what?
The Thuggee. It's the cult of
Mob Death.
It's a cult of Kali in India. They're basically like they do bad to do bad because they like doing bad. They're basically like cartoon villains, but in a much more realistic manner. Like where it's been years since I've read about them, but like sacrifices and robbing people and.
Well then, yeah.
So yeah, like if you're part of that, certain affiliations. If you're the head of a gang. Maybe you shouldn't be allowed to run for office, but again, that comes down to discriminating based on merit, right? I believe.
Yep. We're with it. Number 132. Is it okay to limit immigration if a country is worried it will lose its culture? There's gonna come a point where it's the melting pot is so melted together. This is not gonna be like, I would almost say that your culture, meaning like more so your heritage, your like ways of your ancestors, the onus is kind of on you to maintain those.
So, but what I think when I hear this question is,
yeah,
I don't think that it's, I wouldn't say limit immigration. What I would say is that you see some cultures move to a new land and then they start trying to push for legislation that is in line with their culture's beliefs in a new land. I would say not necessarily to limit immigration, but also to be like, this isn't how we do things here. I think, if because the way that I look at it, when you immigrate to a country, you're obviously really realistically saying your country is better than mine, right? Because you're moving there. You're choosing to leave your country, uproot your whole life and move to another country. So obviously the country is doing something right for you to want to live there.
Denmark.
So, yeah, basically, if I go to Denmark, I'm not putting any ideas on the table. Like, obviously, like, I'm coming here to live the Danish experience, full of delicious pastries, I'm sure. But
I'm not gonna fucking push for legislation against or like for to advocate.
Like,
for
I'm not gonna move to Scandinavia and be like, you know what? There's far too many bathhouses here. So I would say not to limit immigration, but I would say to definitely. It's part of the kind of like the people, right? Well, culture, you will, like you said, there is an onus on you to maintain the culture, but I definitely think that government should not push to accommodate immigrants to, like, they shouldn't change the laws of the country to accommodate the immigrants, because the immigrants have chosen to move there. It's on them to maintain their own culture within their own communities, not to augment or change the workings of the country around them. Is what I would say. So don't limit immigration, but definitely don't accommodate them through legislature. Just to change for the sake of changing and making them more comfortable in a country that is not theirs.
I would like to also add that in consideration of my culture, you could move half of China here and poutine râpé would still taste like garbage. So, the threat is perceived. Number 133. Should the government regulate what food manufacturers can and can't put in their food? I mean, they kind of have to if they're putting garbage in the food.
And I think that's actually a really good question. And that's something that so obviously I've just stated that I'm a fan of smaller government, right? But I think that there should be a certain level of testing, right? To see, like, what is allowed, what can go in. Obviously, like in Victorian Britain, they were putting literal bleach, or maybe not bleach, but like plaster into bread because things were white, and the whiter things were, the better they were. I think, that's a common theme in a lot of problematic thinking. But I think, the government should have been like, oi, this is Britain, so I'm doing the oi. Don't put plastic in the bread there, Mike. No, wait, that's Australian. But anyway, you get my point, Governor.
Wanker.
Let's go on an adventure. I will get fat, mate.
Faster me fucking bread.
But I think that they're, I think the government, part of what they looking out for their citizens, should be looking in what the fuck is going in the food. The problem then is that big food companies actually will pay certain places, research, like the food pyramid as we know it. The 4 food groups and whatnot. That was all like a marketing scheme, because big food got in with the government and they were like, hey, we can make money, let's push this. And the government was like, oh, we like money. So like the government, I think, should maybe not regulate it, but monitor it and list maybe. But
because ultimately the government shouldn't even have to do this, because if you're putting, like, you get what I'm saying, like the fact that they even have to step in just says you're a fucking dumbass. You might say greedy, money hungry. I say just stupid. Plaster and bread was never a fucking good idea.
No, no one benefited from that.
Oh, this makes it so,
just realistically, imagine, I think about like the damage it did to people's colons and shit. Like, imagine.
There's like, this guy.
Can someone say cancer?
My friends used to jam at this auto body shop. I think we talked about this, Brandon Street, right? Mm-hmm. And so...
Oh, the jam space up there by Cheers? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, shout out Brandon Street and shout out Jerry.
Yeah, that's a dope spot to be in.
So, Jerry's kind of like the caretaker. And,
you know, someone robbed him with a shotgun, right? This is years ago, but someone went in and robbed him with a shotgun, yeah. The owner of the garage?
Oh, the owner. His name's Cyrus or something like that.
Yeah, I think, someone
But anyways, to this story, he was fucking, they had rats. So he was making these rat traps, and he was filling them with plaster, because the rats allegedly would eat the plaster, get backed up, couldn't shit, and then just die, full of feces. So, to the bread thing.
Yeah, it really tells you what Victorian England was doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the answer is yes, the government should be looking into... But it's also the onus is on the government to stay faithful to the citizens and be like, okay, I'm not just going to take this money to tell you that butter is good for you. There was an ad that butter was good for your arteries because it helps the blood. It slicks the arteries up so the blood flows quicker. And that's why I'm very skeptical of contemporary scientific studies, because just because they're saying it's right now doesn't mean 10, 20, 50 years down the road. Like smoking used to be prescribed by doctors. It used to be healthy. Yeah. Now we know different, right? Like science doesn't necessarily change. Well, science obviously evolves, right? Yeah. I'm not saying that science is like set in stone. It evolves, but at the same time, you have to question studies coming out, especially I find in such a politically tumultuous period in our society, that you have to be careful of like, okay, so like they're saying this, does that mean it's right? Like, is that true, or are they saying it to further an agenda? Either side of the board or the aisle. Essentially, there should be more than one aisle. Like I said, the two-party system is inherently flawed, but like you have to really be cautious of what studies are saying, and kind of I find like like you say, listen to your body, do what's right for you.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be following everything the government says to a T just because the government itself can be swayed, and so can universities and other studies and thought think tanks. Yeah. Things like that. Like you have to be conscious of that and the dangers that come with it.
Yeah. Don't be an idiot. Listen to yourself. Don't eat plaster.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't chew on lead chips or wear sweatpants.
Yeah. You heard it here. Number 134 is the government responsible for ensuring people receive a livable wage. I say yes.
Yeah.
Number 135, should those who live an unhealthy lifestyle have decreased access to healthcare? Again, this goes back to education. Education. We get this at the start. So people live unhealthy lifestyles because of maybe not having a livable wage. Also, the government perhaps not regulating the food enough that it's available to have shit food that doesn't do anything good for you.
Depending, however, on when this article is published, what this reminds me of is when people who were unvaxxed against COVID were not allowed to receive certain medical care because they didn't have the vaccine.
Yeah.
That in and of itself, I think, is wrong.
Yeah.
Because just because you're not taking the vax, by the way, and I'm not like anti-vaxxer, but I was very skeptical. I got it because I'm in close proximity with my parents. They're elderly. My dad, if he got COVID, would most likely be dead. Thankfully, he did not get it, and he is not, obviously. But I think that, what defines an unhealthy lifestyle, right? Because that to me is so say skateboarding for you, right?
Yeah.
If you broke your ankle and they said, well, skateboarding is inherently dangerous.
Yeah.
So we're not going to fix your ankle more than 2 times or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? Like I think I'm very, very cautious of allowing other people to dictate what is healthy and what is not, because you enter into those realms of gray where, like, if someone doesn't like skateboarding, well, then it's just for hooligans and it's dangerous and it's not a good lifestyle.
Yeah.
Whereas, if someone's like, well, I prefer to, chew herbs and live amongst the trees, and it's like, well, then maybe you should have thought about that before you got scoliosis. You know?
Yeah, basically just have healthcare for everybody.
I don't know why I chose scoliosis. I couldn't think of it.
Yeah, I don't know how you catch scoliosis in the woods.
You can't catch Anyway, I'm not the wisest tree in the bush. The squirrels mock me.
Yeah, but basically just have the healthcare and then, focus on the education, and eventually questions like this are not even an issue because...
Well, I think too, like, I know that with my family doctor, before he sold...
Passed from unhealthy eating.
No, my doctor is so... Well, he was so... No, but
yeah.
I'm just always amazed at how healthy my doctor was. Like, I did not go to an overweight, baldy doctor. I went to a very handsome Acadian man who spoke fluent English and gave you the business straight. Like, if like, your problem was you keep smoking, he'd be like, I can't do anything for you if you keep smoking.
Yeah.
And then, like, he was like the worst doctor for people who want to get pills, because he would be like, no, I'm not going to give you these.
Yeah.
You have to go another way.
Yeah. The pills don't solve it. Your fucking behavior being adjusted does.
Well, and that's why when I was going to him for anxiety, I told him, don't give me a pill that I can pop when I'm anxious. I will abuse that. I will become addicted to that. I said, I want something that's a slow burn over time. So he and I found a medication that worked for me, a dosage that worked for me. Okay. Thankfully, I was able to overcome my anxiety and I got off those pills.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of, like, not necessarily discriminate, but not shut you out of it, but find solutions that push you to be a better person.
Yeah.
Which, takes more effort, but everyone is worth the effort if they're willing to put that effort into themselves.
In the long run, it's the wisest one.
Like, if you keep I keep rambling, but if you keep drinking yourself and, like, burning through livers, then I think at some point, they just need to be like, all right, well, if you keep drinking, we're not going to keep giving you liver transplants. There are people that, need these livers.
Well, because I wasn't saying just, like, carte blanche, anybody, anything, fucking just fix it. I'm saying that kind of, but what I'm saying is mostly let that be the case for now, while we tackle the problem where it begins, rather than
education. You come back to education and prevention.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, last one on the docket, number 136. What would the ideal government look like? We fucking answered this already. We answered this twice.
So
we answered this fucking twice.
But to reiterate, what think...
would a perfect society look like if you could create... Anyways, what you got?
I'm going to say a government that does not pursue its own gain.
Yeah.
A government that exists to better the lives of its people.
Yeah.
A government that is looking, well, to do good for the people, for the environment.
Yeah.
And does not act like a dictator. Yeah. Although but you know what I mean? Like, like, not out there to tell everyone how to live their lives, but to offer the resources that they can get help if they need it, and to facilitate the education needed to make informed decisions. Like, the government shouldn't be trying to pull the wool over our eyes so that we'll go along with what they want. Like, growing up, we all know that you can't trust politicians. That's like the first thing you learn when you are starting to come into cognizance. Don't trust lawyers or politicians.
Yeah.
Like, they lie. They lie to get what they want. That's basically their job, and it's disgusting. Yeah. And we need to... a government, I think, also should hold itself accountable and truly look to better itself. It should look to better the people that it governs, and it should look to better itself and keep itself running smoothly and purely is lack of a better word, with integrity and genuine care and love for its people.
That's it. My answer was just benevolent. Period.
Benevolent, yeah. But I think
everything you just said.
If you want the short form, you got Kutzky there. If you're in a bar and you'd be like benevolent, and then if you want to be long-winded and smoke 3 cigarettes while you're telling the guy why he's wrong and how many ways he can improve himself, you can go with my option and just keep rambling.
Both sides of the coin.
Just try to avoid filler words because they don't really do you any justice. I know that's something I got to work on, but hey, we're getting there.
Yeah, all due time.
All due time.
All right.
So that's the end of the episode?
It's the end of this episode.
Well, thank you so much, guys, for coming and joining us. Hopefully you didn't catch too much lung cancer from our billows of wonderful smoke. The cigarettes were delicious, as were the Russian candies. Taste of the Homeland, of course, is not affiliated with us at all, but it's a really great spot if you're in the Moncton area. Go check them out. Really kind people, delicious food, And I think, honestly, I know that right now is a bit tumultuous, but Slavic culture, if not Russian culture, is really quite a delight if you can introduce yourself to that. So thank you very much for joining us.
Amen, brother.
We'll see you again next time, guys. So drop us a like, give us a comment, tell us what you like, tell us what you don't like, maybe something that we can improve. We might tell you that you're wrong. That could happen too. But of course, any feedback is really quite appreciated. So thanks for joining us here at Smugglers Cove, and we look forward to seeing you here again next time.
Love you all.
Absolutely.